If you think hiring a commission-only closer is a low-risk way to scale your sales, you're about to find out why that thinking is costing you more money and talent. Today, I'm going to show you the exact math that determines whether you actually are ready for a commission-only salesperson and why most businesses I personally talk with are setting themselves up for failure even before they even make a hire. Now, let's talk about the commission-only myth, because I talk to business owners every single week who want commission-only closers and setters on their team, and the pitch they basically tell themselves sounds great, right? I don't have to pay them until they close deals. Zero risk on my end. But here's what business owners don't understand. Commission only doesn't mean low cost. It means that you need to provide enough opportunity for that person to make serious money. And if you cannot do that, you're not going to attract anybody worth hiring, right? Now, there goes a saying, and this counts exactly the same for in sales, which is you get what you pay for. Right? If you're offering a commission-only position where somebody might only make $3,000 a month, if everything goes perfectly, you're going to attract desperate, inexperienced salespeople who have no other options. And those people are going to cost you way more in lost deals than you would have spent just paying somebody what they are worth. And the businesses that successfully hire commission-only salespeople aren't doing it to save money, I can tell you that much. They're doing it because they have so much volume and opportunity that commission-only compensation actually pays more than a base salary would. However, it might pay more. However, the point that I'm trying to make here is that the risk that the business is taking is way lower, because not only is the opportunity higher for, a salesperson to make exponentially more money in an uncapped position, the business only has to pay that money if a sale happened, right? So the business is actually paying more for the position, which can attract A players, right? But they're also only paying that money once deals are closed, so they are protected in that end. That is the attractiveness of commission-only closers. Businesses, they know their margins, and closers, they want an uncapped position where they can earn exponentially more. That is why commission only is a really good sale for both ends of the business. Not for businesses coming in that they think they're going to save money or they don't really have their offers figured out, right? Because that's entirely a completely different situation that most business owners are in right now. Now, forget all of that. Let me show you the actual math that determines whether you are ready for commission-only salespeople. And here's basically the math that most business owners don't do before trying to hire commission-only closers. And this is something, I do on the regular basis, and my salespeople do all the time with our potential clients, is we have to work out if your business is in a position where our business sales match can actually help you by recruiting world-class commission-only setters and closers if you need that. Now, basically what you need to calculate is the on-track earnings, because you want to make sure that they hit specific thresholds, right? Now, for appointment setters, you need to be able to pay them at least $65,000 per year in on-track earnings, right? That's roughly about $5,400 a month if I did my math correctly. Now, for closers, you need to be able to pay them at least $95,000 a year in on-track earnings, and that's around $7,900 per month if I did my math correctly. Now, if you can't show a salesperson a clear path to making this kind of money with your opportunity, you are not ready for commission only, period. And let me break this down a little bit further. Now, for appointment setters on commission only, you typically need at least around 600 leads per month for them to work, right? And this is a very, very loosely held number. And I'll get into that in a little bit. Now, whether they're basically paid per appointment set or per closed deal, they need enough raw material to actually generate income. So let's say your setter can qualify and book 15% of the leads they work, right? Rough math here. With 600 leads, that's 90 appointments per month. And if you're paying $50 per booked appointment, that's $4,000 per month. And that's barely hitting hitting the minimum. And that assumes that everything goes perfectly, right? Now, if you only have 200 leads per month, your seller might only book 30 appointments to make $1,500. No quality setter is going to stick around for $1,500 a month, and then you're going to deal with a churn issue where you're constantly having to replace your closers or your setters if you underpay them, okay? And what I have seen, they'll leave within 30 days and go find another offer with more volume, right? And that's also when we place appointment setters and closers within our businesses or our clients that we work with. We do offer a 60 to 90 day, replacement policy for if they leave, we will replace them. But that's also why we don't onboard clients if your business is not in a position where you can pay appointment setters at least $65,000 a year or closers $90,000 a year. Because again, if you pay anything under that, number one, you're not going to attract top talent, and number two, if you do attract some sort of talent, they are just going to leave after a short time, right? Now let's dig into closers a little bit further here, because for closers the math is similar. Okay, so let's say you're paying about 10% commission on a $5,000 offer, which is pretty common, right? That's about $500 per close. Now, in order for that closer to hit $7,900 per month in income, right, in personal income for them, your closer needs to close about 16 deals per month. Right? So if your closer converts about 30% of calls, they need about 53 qualified calls per month to close 16 deals, right? That's about 13 calls per week, every week, consistently, right? And again, that is not impossible, right? On average, I get, business owners asking me all the time, Craig, well, how many calls can a closer handle, right, per day? And I would say the sweet spot is between 6 to 7 live calls per day, right? So depending on your show up rate, if for easy math, if it's 6 calls that your closer can handle per day, live calls, and you have a, easy math, 50% show up rate, that means you need to book 12 appointments on their calendar every single day in order for them to get 6 live calls. And by the way, if you have a 50% show up rate, get a setter calling every single leads in your pipeline. Anything under a 75% show up rate, you should have your appointment setters dial every single lead prior to their call with a closer. Now, here's the thing. If you're only providing 20 calls per month and they basically close 6 deals, they're making $3,000. That's not enough to keep an A player around, right? They're gonna leave and find another offer who actually feeds them, right? And this is the math that most business owners never do. They just assume commission only means that they don't have to worry about compensation. Wrong, right? You have to worry even more, because if the math doesn't work out, you'll never keep good talent around. And that I can guarantee you. Now, here's what changed since 2020 that most business owners still don't understand. The power dynamic in sales hiring has completely flipped. Now, before 2020, most sales jobs were local and in person, right? A lot of businesses, right, had reps coming in person or they were in offices. And salespeople had limited options based on what companies were hiring in their city. Now, here is where businesses had all the leverage. Now, in this day and age, almost everything has moved online, right? A closer in Fort Lauderdale can sell for a company based in Los Angeles, right? A setter in Chicago can work leads for a business owner in New York. And geography doesn't matter anymore. And this means that elite salespeople now have more options than ever before. They can shop around other offers and choose who they want to work for. They're evaluating you and your business just as much as you are evaluating them. And when a top closer is looking at opportunities, they'll ask questions like, how many sales calls per week will I get? What is your show up rate? What is the average deal size? What's the current close rate? And how qualified are the leads that you're going to be providing me with? And if your answers are weak, they're going to take an offer from someone else who has their lead generation dialed in. I can guarantee you that, right? Gone are the days where you could post a commission-only position and have a talented closer or talented talented closers lining up to take that job, right? Now you have to sell your opportunity to them. You have to prove that working for you is better than working for 10 other offers they're considering, right? And if your volume is too low to support their income goals, they're not even going to have a conversation with you. They'll move on to the next opportunity who can actually pay them what they're worth, right? And this is the new reality. And this is exactly where, a business such as ourselves, Sales Match, comes in to help when we are helping our clients find and recruit the best talent possible for their offer, right? We're placing our clients' businesses on a pedestal, and there's various ways we do this to attract top talent, right? Because at the end of the day, businesses don't have all the power anymore. Salespeople have choices, and they're exercising those choices specifically. Now, let me address another mistake I see constantly, right? Which is business owners come to me saying that they want a salesperson who can find them their own leads, qualify those leads, and close those leads, right? Basically, they want one person doing end-to-end sales. And what they're actually asking for is somebody doing 3 completely separate jobs, which is marketing, appointment setting, and closing. And this is a trap specifically, and let me tell you why this doesn't work anymore. First, those are 3 different skill sets. Great closers are not generally great at lead generation, and great appointment setters are not usually great at, closing high ticket deals. So when you ask one person to do all 3 jobs, you get mediocre performance across the board. Second of all, that's not scalable, right? When your closer is spending half the day prospecting and qualifying, they're not on sales calls, actually closing deals, right? And you're paying a closer level compensation for lead generation work. And third of all, no A player is actually going to take this role. I can guarantee you that. Top closers want to be on calls closing deals. They don't want to spend their time, doing cold outreach and qualification, right? And if you're offering an end-to-end position, you're only going to attract people who cannot get a real closing job, right? And here's how real businesses at scale operate, okay? Marketing generates leads. Appointment setters work those leads, qualify them, and book appointments. And then finally, closers take those qualified calls and close deals, right? Each role is specialized. Each person in that role focuses on what they are best at, right? And the system works because everyone is doing one thing really well instead of doing 3 things poorly. And when you try and combine these roles, you're not saving money. You're creating a bottleneck that limits growth and attracts the wrong talent. Because if you cannot afford, separate roles yet, that is okay. Do the setting yourself and just hire a closer. Or do the closing yourself and just hire a setter. But don't try to hire one person to do everything. I guarantee you it does not work. So how do you know if you're actually ready for commission-only salespeople? Here is the checklist that I can provide you with. For a commission-only appointment setter, you need at least 600 leads per month flowing into your business. And you need a proven sales process that converts. And in addition, you need to be able to show a clear path to a $65,000 per year in earnings based on your current numbers. And how about a commission-only closer? Well, for a commission-only closer, you need to be booking at least 40 to 50 qualified appointments per month on their calendar. You need a consistent lead flow that's not going to dry up. And you need to be able to show a clear path to about $95,000 a year in earnings. And if you cannot hit these numbers, you have 2 options. Option 1 is don't hire commission only. Pay a base salary plus a commission instead. Yes, this does cost more upfront, but you'll actually be able to attract and retain better talent this way. A $3,000 base plus commission is way more attractive than pure commission when you don't have the volume to support high earners. So that's option number 1. How about option number 2? So option number 2 is focus on building your lead flow first. Get your marketing dialed in, generate consistent leads, and then hire commission only once you have the volume to support it. Because what you should not do is hire commission only prematurely. Because what's going to happen is you're going to watch them struggle because there's not enough opportunity. And then you're going to lose them 30 to 60 days in because they want to go find another opportunity that generates them more money, more leads, and more qualified calls, right? And then you're left holding the bag and have to repeat the cycle with somebody else. Now, this is the most expensive way to build a sales team because you're constantly turning and churning talent and never burn or build momentum, right? Now, this is exactly why Sales Match exists. We have an honest and open conversation with business owners about whether they're actually ready for commission-only salespeople. We don't just place anybody with everybody. We look at your leads volume, your deal flow, your average deal size, and we calculate whether you can actually support a commission-only salesperson at the income levels that are required to attract and retain world-class talent. And if you're not ready, we'll simply tell you and we'll help you figure out what you need to build first, or we'll discuss alternative compensation structures that might work better for you at your current stage. And when you are ready, we'll place elite setters and closers who thrive in commission-only environments because the opportunity is actually there. And our guarantee is simple. If the person we place doesn't work out within 60 days, we'll replace them, no questions asked. Because we'd rather have an upfront, honest conversation than set you up by failure by placing somebody into a situation where basically the math doesn't math, right? So here's what you need to do right now. Pull out a calculator and do the math I just showed you. How many leads per month are you generating? How many qualified appointments can you book? What is your average deal size and commission structure? And based on those numbers, what would a commission-only salesperson actually earn working for you? If the number is below $65,000 per year for a setter or $95,000 per year for a closer, you're not ready for commission only. Either fix your lead flow first or consider a small base plus commission structure. And if you're currently asking salespeople to do end-to-end closing, finding deals or leads, qualifying leads, and then closing those deals, stop. Separate those roles and let people be specialized, or have all your salespeople put them in specialized roles, is what I'm trying to say here. Because at the end of the day, if you separate those roles, now you can scale efficiently. And all in all, if you're not sure if you're ready or not, book a free call with us below. We'll have an open and honest conversation with you if you are ready to bring on commission-only closers. And if not, we'll help you build out a path to get there. But other than that, I really hope this video provided you with some sort of value, and I hope to see you in the next one.